Would you like some great ideas and habits to make 2021 the best year ever? Me too. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. I just read an article by a gentleman named Thomas Opung, who's become one of my favorite authors. He has some tremendously good ideas. And his article is Habits and Ideas for a Better Life. I'm going to share some of those with you. So big shout out to Thomas Opung. I like them all, except the very last one that I'm going to talk about is one that I disagree with and I think is very important. So stay tuned until the end. All right, first thing we want to talk about. The culmination of all your habits, behaviors, and choices ultimately shape your entire life. Whatever you do repeatedly will either make or break your success in life. So pay great attention to your habits. How many times have we said you are your habits and then your habits become you? If your habits are when you wake up first thing is you run to social media, don't be surprised if that has a great effect on your life every day after day after day after day. Get habits that are going to move you forward. So the first thing you have to do is put your habits under the microscope, determine which ones are moving you this way and which ones are moving you backward. Does that make sense? Make judgments, make good judgments. Your emotions or mood at any particular moment can trigger the same emotions in other people. You can be infected with someone's happiness or sadness. Researchers call it emotional contagion. You can channel more positivity in your life or family if you keep that in mind. Hey, aren't there some people that you know when you think of them, it's like when they walk into the room brightens up, they have charisma, they're excited, they're positive, and then there are the other people that the room brightens up as soon as they leave it. Which person do you want to be? The one that brightens up the room when you get into it, or the person that brightens up the room when you exit? It's really not a difficult choice. So think about your attitude, your enthusiasm, your positivity. That is something under your control. How you spend every day is how you spend your life. Time is what we want most, but what we use worst. If you value your time, you'll protect it like a valuable asset. Time really is the most precious resource you have. Think hard before you trade it for anything else, including money. Time is that important. How you budget your time. Do you block out time every day for your most important activities? Or do you allow yourself to be interrupted by either events or other people? You have to be selfish. You have to be disciplined. You have to block out that time. Yeah, you're going to give time to some of those other people, but on your terms. Either you take control or somebody else will take control for you, and that's not what you want because you're not their number one interest. Pride your time. Pride your time. A morning routine can save you hours of indecision every week. And the quality of your routines determine the quality of your days, which determine the quality of your weeks, months, years, and eventually your life. Hey, how you get started every day tremendously affects the outcome that you will have at the end of the day. You've got to get your body in motion, but in the right motion. What's a good thing to do is to get a morning routine that's going to put you in position to achieve. You need a positive attitude, you need focus, you need a level of achievement, you need to be excited about going out there. Are your habits, is your morning routine putting you in that posture every day? If it's not, then you need to give it a rethink and say, how can I do that? For me, I start off every day with my quiet thinking time. I look at, I'm seeking information from my universal partner, any mind flashes today, any new ideas for me today. I take a look at how I'm going to spend my day. I take a look at the results I want. I see things happening before they happen. It puts me in a positive state. So when I get up and I look in the mirror, it's like I'm grateful. Yes, all right, today's another great day. Let's make it happen. Is your morning routine doing that? If it's not, give it a rethink. Give it a rethink and plan the beginning of your day, because that's what sets you in motion for the entire day. Plan your big tasks for the day before it begins. Give purpose to your day by determining the 3 most important things you want to accomplish and making those a priority. Do the same thing with your week to increase your productivity. Before I go to sleep every night, I figure out what is going to be the most important thing or things that I need to do the next day. Before I go to sleep, I plant the seed and see the outcome the way I want to see those outcomes. I don't necessarily, I don't want to say, this is how I'm going to do everything. This is the outcome I want. Why? Because I'm sending that vibe into the universe, to the universal partner, and I don't want to put restrictions on what the universal partner can tell me back. So I just point out the outcome that I want to achieve and allow the universal partner to give me some input in the form of mind flashes or circumstances. And then when I wake up the next day, many cases I'll have a fresh idea on something that I wanted to do. Plant that seed every single night. Does that make some sense? Motivation doesn't work as much as you think. Train yourself to be disciplined. You won't be able to do your best work if you're only relying on motivation. Motion creates emotion. Now there are some days when you are just, all right, exciting day, and then there are other days when, you're just not feeling it. One of the virtues of having that morning routine is to increase the number of days when you are feeling it. So what do you have to do? You have to put yourself in motion. There are the example I like to give is when a boxer's in the ring. All right, they're standing there and then it's like ding ding, and they get into their physical stance. Your physical is related to the mental. Does that make sense? So get your body in motion, doing something. Have something that you do that gets you going. Maybe that's riding a bike. Maybe that's going for a jog. Maybe that's reading. Whatever it is that you do, have it planned out to get your body in the right space, because just motivation alone is not something you can count on every day. But once you get the physical aspect tied into the mental aspect, it puts you in the right space. The majority of outcomes are driven by a minority of events. Focus on the 20% proactive actions that can deliver 80% of the results that you want. This isn't anything new. We've talked about the Pareto principle over and over and over and over again here. 20% of the people produce 80% of the results. 20% of your activity produces 80% of your results. It's so true in so many ways. The key thing is finding those 20%. So once again, you have to examine, you have to put your activities under the microscope to find the things that are moving you forward. Does that make some sense? Okay? Habits, lessons, and ideas of successful people can save you hundreds of hours of hard work. Find the most successful people in your industry and learn from them. They can help you to leverage and give you a cumulative advantage. The opportunities and ideas you learn from them can compound over time into an increasingly larger advantage. The key thing is, model success. Find people that are doing what you want to do. Copy what they do. Don't copy the people that aren't getting it done. Does that make, is that, be logical. And what happens is once you start doing those things that made them successful, you develop those habits that made them successful, then they start to compound, and the end result is bigger than the pieces that you put together to form the puzzle. Compounding is key. But you want to compound the right activity. Model success. Find people that are getting done what you want to do and model their activity. Successful people tend to find patterns in places people ignore. They can be wildly creative or innovative, yet highly organized with intense attention to detail and precision. You know, I wanted to think of some examples of this for you, and I thought of a couple, one personal and one that's, well, just as an example. All right, one of the things I wanted to do when I was playing ball was I wanted to be somebody that was able to score inside, was be able to rebound, and be able to tip in. You know, there's a lot of shots that just miss, but if you're there and you can tip it in, you become a more effective player. So I had to develop some sort of a system to do that. Well, I developed it. The first thing I did was I took a ball, I went up against the wall, and I just started tipping with my left hand. All right, my right hand is easier. If you're right-handed, it's easier. So I did right hand, I did left hand, I did right hand, I did left hand, all right, until I got comfortable tipping the ball with my left hand. And believe me, when you first start, it's not that comfortable. Then you go up to the backboard. All right, so you have a little more confined space. You're not up against the wall. And I started doing it that way. So I had a little system that I did to improve the skill that I wanted to use to become a better basketball player. It sounds real stupid, right? But it was a system, and it worked. Develop a system, develop a pattern. How about Netflix? Okay, they took a look at the system that people had going to video stores. People would go, they'd walk around, they'd look, and they said, how can I improve this? And then they said, you know, people are on the computer anyway, why don't we make all this available to people so they don't even have to leave their living room couch? Not only that, but we can give them more options. And they don't have to, we can do it for a month. And they paid attention to the details that were necessary to get their plan in operation. Successful people tend to find patterns in places that people ignore. Making connections between seemingly unimportant things is perhaps one of the most crucial skills that you can ever master to stay ahead in life and career. I was talking to a young man yesterday, and he was telling me how he's starting to read more books on things that, you know, are outside of his interest level, and he's starting to find them a little bit more interesting. And I pointed out to him that the virtue in doing that is that you start to look at things from different paradigms, from different angles, instead of the one that you have, the main paradigm that you have right now. And when you have an ability to look at things from different directions, it gives you more options on what it is you want to do. And what happens is you run it, you know, we talk about the importance of getting to a starting line. You run into a roadblock, and then a new starting line will appear, and you know, you run into these roadblocks continuously. But what happens is when you have different viewpoints, you see things differently. That enables you to get to starting lines that you couldn't have gotten to before because you didn't think like that. But now you're starting to incorporate thinking from other people, from other venues, from other points of view that you never would have, and you say, oh, and you have sort of an aha moment. And when you can put those two thoughts together, one unrelated to the thing that your purpose, what your burning desire is, that will help move you forward in a great way. Thomas Opung wrote a great article, and here's one that I strongly disagree with. Scoring wins is overvalued. Avoiding failure matters more. You will save time, money, and energy if you learn how to avoid failure instead of focusing more on winning. It's a way of thinking in which you consider the opposite of what you want, inversion. No, Thomas, no, that's not right. That's wrong. That's the way people are right now. I've done a video on success seekers versus failure avoiders. You can't go around being a failure avoider. You've got to make mistakes. That's the way that you learn. And what happens when you're a failure avoider is that you shy away from doing anything. You say, well, if I don't do anything, no one's going to yell at me, no one's going to point a finger at me, no one's going to say you did it wrong. And that is the way that you guarantee mediocrity. If you want to get excellence, you've got to go out there, you've got to take chances, you've got to take risks, you've got to make moves, and you can't be focused on avoiding failure. You've got to be focused on reaching the pinnacle of reaching your success. And there's going to be failures along the way. That philosophy of avoiding failure is the one that kills society, in my opinion. You can't be a failure avoider. Then you're not thinking creatively. What you're doing is you've got 5 cards and you're sticking with your 5 cards. You're not saying, well, I have a straight, but I might be able to get a flush. You've got to go for it. And you're going to have setbacks. That's the most difficult thing for people, is they would so much rather avoid a setback than achieve a great victory. If you're going to achieve a great victory, you know what? A byproduct is always a huge number of setbacks. That's always the case. So get your mindset straight. Don't be a failure avoider. Be a success seeker. Once again, big shout out, Thomas Opung, great article. And because we're never going to end a meeting on a philosophical note, let's all get out there and take charge. I'm Eli's dad.